Snapchat horror story. Rachel and her best friend Claire were walking home from school one day, and they were taking selfies on Snapchat and posting them onto their stories. Rachel stupidly had her Snapchat location on and forgot all about it. When Rachel and Claire went their separate ways by going to their houses, Rachel got a snap from a person she didn't know, and so she blocked that person and went on with her day. Later that night, she got a snap. When the same unknown username as before popped up, she sighed and she opened it. Rachel looked at the snap in horror as she saw a picture of her house on the snap. Rachel asked the guy, "How the hell do you know where she lived?" And the guy responded back with, "You have your Snapchat location on. And by the way, you and your friend look very beautiful walking home from school." Rachel's heart began to race as she turned off her Snapchat location and began texting her friend Claire about what happened. Minutes later, Rachel got a snap from the guy again, and she opened it and screamed. The snap had him holding a gun towards Claire. Rachel called the police and showed them the snap as they got to her house. They found her in the basement, tied up and unconscious, and the guy was never to be seen. To this day, Rachel has deleted Snapchat and started to be far more careful from now on. So I was in my teens when this happened. I'd been in a really dark place mentally, and I met this guy through Snapchat. He told me his name was John, and he thought I was really pretty, and he seemed like a cool guy. He was pictures of super generic emo guy, and my tween heart was hooked. We talked for days and nights, and at one point, I told him the town I lived in. Because my parents worked late, I'd get home from school and usually be by myself at home. And I'd sit in the living room, which had this big window facing the street. If you looked in, you could see people on the TV and stuff, and I always kept the curtains open for light. So about 2 weeks after John and I were talking, I noticed this white sedan drive slowly past my house at least once a day, usually right after I got home from school. I noticed that whenever I was watching something and texting John, he'd find a way to bring up the show into the conversation. I didn't think much of it at first because usually it was shows I'd reblogged on my page before. That was until I started watching Pretty Little Liars on ABC Family. I hadn't posted or reblogged anything about the show, and then John started bringing it up, and I thought it was really weird. When I asked him about it, he said I seemed like the type of girl who watched it, so I dropped the issue. Fast forward 2 weeks, and I'm with some friends at a nearby park. I wasn't having a good day, so we decided to hang out, do photo shoots, whatever. So we were walking around and I turned my head and boom, there's that white sedan, except it's closer and I can see the person in it. It's this older guy, maybe in his 20s, just watching us. I got really uncomfortable, but I didn't bring it up. And then my friend suggested we go to the playground, which is right next to the parking lot. But at this point, none of my friends knew about the issue, and I wanted to seem cool, so I went along with it. We dicked around on the playground for a bit, when I noticed the guy in the white sedan get out of his car and start walking towards us. My brain started trying to rationalize the situation. This can't be the same sedan that kept sitting outside and driving past my house. It can't be. And maybe the guy's just watching his kid or something. I wish that were the case. I went over to the water fountain to grab a drink, and the guy comes up to me. "Hi there." Hi. You're..." He said my Instagram handle, right? My blood went ice cold. Yeah, who are you?" He smiled at me, this really wide grin. "I'm John. I came to see you in person. You told me the town you lived in and how you wished we could meet." "Listen, I gotta get back to my friends." No. Why don't we take a drive? We can go to McDonald's." He grabbed my arm at this point, and I think one of my friends had noticed, because she came up to us and the John guy released me and started to back up. "Hey, Lizzie, Mom said we gotta head home. Dad's home, and he had a long day." I nodded along and walked away with her. My whole group of friends were crowding me as we headed back to my house. I never told my parents what happened that day, and none of my friends did either. None of us wanted our Snapchats exposed, and we thought we'd get in trouble for what was happening, even though I was the only one at risk. When we got home, I blocked John and reported the account, thanking my friends for saving me. It's scary to think what could have happened if they hadn't been there, and I don't think the story would have had a happy ending. What's creepy about Snapchat? I use Snapchat every day, just sending silly faces to my friends, until that one day. I had received a Snapchat from a user I'm not sure who, but with a note saying, "Hey cutie." I was flattered, sending one back. "Thanks." I got a message like this many times, compliments. Still not knowing who this person was. Then it got creepy. I was in the library when I got a snap, a picture of me in the library, in the position I am now today, with a note read, "I see you." Now getting a feeling, I looked around, no person to be seen. My friends are playing a sick joke, I thought. But I was wrong. Every Snapchat this person sent me was of me, around campus, with my friends, in class, coming out of bathrooms. How did I miss it? I stayed in my dorm for a whole day, locked up, having to receive no snaps from this user until the morning. The pictures lasted 1 second and disappeared. A person in a dark room, asleep, in bed. Me. Every picture was closer and closer to my face, and the videos, heavy breathing, close-ups of my face. I freaked, called the police, went to my parents, and escaped. They still haven't been found. Creepy person on Snapchat. A few months ago, I was quick added on Snapchat by some girl who had a normal-looking Bitmoji and was fairly new to Snapchat. Her Snap score was only about 400 or 500. I accepted the request, since I could always use some more friends and some more streaks, and she almost immediately texted me, despite the request being about 6 hours old when I first saw it. She texted me, "Hey cutie, what's up?" I was a bit confused by this message, as she had never seen a picture of me yet, and Bitemojis aren't necessarily accurate. I just replied, "Hello?" and the conversation continued on as normal for about 10 to 15 minutes. Eventually, she sent me a picture of herself. I was a little surprised by it, as she looked exactly like one of my girlfriend's friends that I had met on a night out one time. I simply dismissed it as being coincidental. People often have someone that looks similar to themselves. She requested a picture of myself, and I just sent her a simple selfie of me. Again, she referred to me as being cute, but it wasn't as weird this time, because now she'd actually seen me. I just thought of it as her being nice. She then started flirting with me, even after I brought up how I had a girlfriend. She would say stuff like, "I wish you didn't have a girlfriend. You seem so sweet and cute, and the color of my eyes is making my heart flush." She'd even get sexually explicit with some of her comments. Out of nowhere, she sends me 2 more selfies of her. This time, there are 2 pictures of other women I'd only met once or twice in my life. One of them was my girlfriend's other friend, and another was an old classmate of mine from 8th grade. Assuming it was my girlfriend doing some stupid loyalty test to me, I just said to her, "Nice try, Aurora," not my girl's real name. "You should know after 2 years of dating I'd never cheat on you." After I said this, she sent me a picture of yet another girl I hardly knew, and said, "Who the F is this Aurora?" Freaked me out a bit now. I asked who this really was. She got really pissy with me, saying how every new person she meets accuses her of being a catfish, because she always looks like somebody they know. I asked her if she had more pictures of herself, just to see if I'm not losing my mind. She sends me 5 more, each of yet another girl I knew. This time some of them were a bit closer to me. I asked her where she got the pictures from, and she was still insistent of them being her, as promising she isn't a catfish. After about 10 minutes of me pressuring the catfish into giving herself up, she sent me a heart-chilling snap. It was a picture of the front of my house, where I moved away from about 3 or 4 years before the incident. It was taken at the same time of day as this conversation was happening, so I assumed she had taken it at that very moment. I now knew it couldn't be my girlfriend just being creepy, as we weren't dating when I lived there, nor did she ever know about me living there. I figured it was a friend of mine playing some sick prank with an old account, but some of the photos they used were of girls that they didn't know about my acquaintances with. She followed up with several pictures of another girl. This time they weren't just normal selfies or group photos. They were candid shots of nobody other than my girlfriend. Some of them were of her sitting at the stoplights in her car. Others were of her walking into school where we go to. My heart dropped. I blocked the person immediately and phoned my girlfriend to tell her the situation. She assured me that it wasn't her or one of her friends doing some kind of prank or loyalty test, and that she didn't know somebody had been taking photos of her. I haven't been added by anyone similar of nature, or heard from the account ever again. I still have no idea who was actually behind it. My friends that I or Aurora still have contact with have since privated their Instagram accounts, which is where the pictures the accounts sent me came from. My girlfriend and I have disabled our Snapchats to everyone, including our close friends. I still want to believe that this was some kind of sick prank from one of our best friends or something, and not just some genuinely creepy person who was stalking me and my girlfriend.